All right, guys. So we're going to continue on. Yesterday I showed you the videos from this section, so we're just going to jump into like a lot of the vocab stuff this thing is doing. And again, sorry, my boxes are dark. You'll have to write above them. So a general term for an institution through which stocks are bought and sold. The New York Stock Exchange is a well-known stock market, as well as NASDAQ. Market opens at 9:30, closes at 4, and that's just known as the stock market. Some nice hours though, right? 9:30 to 4. Most people are like 8 to 5. So 9:30 to 4. Do you know what stock market transactions are called? Starts with a T. Trades. Yeah, trades. Right, the information system that follows the daily trading action of 30 large public companies. Originally, it was just industrial companies. Now includes multiple types. Do you remember what that is? What that's called? It was in one of the videos from yesterday. Yeah, it's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and that's just 30 large companies. So when they give you that number, the Dow Jones average, it's just the average of 30 companies. So you can kind of get an idea what the market's doing. And then do you remember what it's called for the track's top 500 large capitalization common stocks actively traded in the U.S.? Sure. The what? Say it again. That's right. It's the S&P 500. Yeah, it's called Standards and Poor's is what that stands for, but S&P. We usually see it as S&P 500. Hi, Brian. Thank you. Do you want notes for today? Yeah, might be helpful. You'll want to grab the vocab off of one of them. All right, a lot of vocab today. So this is just some words that you're going to see when we're talking about different stocks. Okay, so first is the price per share of the last trade that was made for a particular stock, and that is called the last. All right, so when you're looking at stock market data, there's going to be all these different words and all these different numbers and prices and all of this stuff going on. So we're going to try to interpret like what all of that means. So if it's listed as last, that was the last time for that day that stock was traded, what it went for. So the very last sale of the day, that's what they sold it for. That's what that stands for. Oh, wait a minute. Price per share last trade was. Yeah, so close and last, they kind of go hand in hand. The last price it was traded for during the day. So close or last, depending on what you're looking at, could be listed as something different. So last or close mean the same thing. The highest price, shockingly, is called the high. The highest price it was sold for on a given day. Bless you. Because you guys know as the day goes on in the stock market world, the prices go up and they go down like constantly. You would sit with your computer and leave it open and watch a stock. You can watch the price go up and go down and go up and go down and like whatever it's doing for the day. The lowest price that it was traded on, that's called the low. Look at that. Somebody was real creative when they named these. Number of shares that was traded during a given time period. No guess? It's the volume. So you can look for the day and find out how many shares were actually traded that day, how much movement was going on. And then the change between the previous day's closing price and the current day's closing price is the change or the net change. So that compares like yesterday's closing price to today's closing price. So in other words, how much change happened from yesterday to today, from closing to closing. So that's just your change. All right, so most of the words are pretty self-explanatory. All right, so here we go. You can take a look. It's just XYZ Corporation. It's showing the close of 2 trading days. So if you look at the first one, we have May 5th, and this is all of the info for that corporation. And then we have May 12th, so we have a week later. All right, so let's go ahead and answer some questions based on that. So what was the difference between the high and the low prices on May 5th? So we'll look at May 5th. The high price, the highest it ever was on that day was what? See, there's the high, 52.60. And then what was the lowest price it sold for? 49. So what was the difference between the high and the low? It's a difference of how much? $3.60. So the price fluctuated by $3.60 throughout the day, from the highest price to the lowest price. What about on May 12th? Same idea. You just have to look at, it's got May 12th over here. So the high was 51.40. The low was 50.60. What was the difference between those? 80 cents. So you can see from one week to the next week, right, we're looking at a week apart on these. You know, on the 5th, the price fluctuated more. There was more happening that day versus on the 12th, it only changed by 80 cents between high and low. So there wasn't a lot of fluctuation there. On May 5th, what was the actual volume of XYZ shares posted? What was the actual volume? What part of this whole listing talks about volume, even though it doesn't say the word volume? Yeah, sales in hundreds. Right? Sales in hundreds is giving you your volume, how many stocks were actually traded. So, but what does it mean, sales in hundreds? You add 2 more zeros to whatever that number is. So they're saying 28,000. But if it's sales in hundreds, you need to add 2 more zeros to that. So really, there was 2,800,000 shares. Think about that. That's a lot of shares, right? So that's their actual shares. But the question also asked for, write the volume in thousands. This one gave me the sales in hundreds, so I took that number and I had to add 2 zeros to it. So if I now want you to take this number and rewrite it in thousands, I'd have to take away how many zeros? Off of the actual. 3. Because 1,000, how many zeros are in 1,000? There's 3. So you would take the actual, take 3 zeros off. So in thousands. And it's just them abbreviating so they don't have to put as many digits on the board. Okay? So sale in hundreds, they would give you this. If I want to know the actual amount, it's in hundreds, so I'd add 2 zeros to it. That gives me my actual. If then I want you to rewrite it in thousands, you would then take 3 zeros off of it because there's 3 zeros in 1,000. If I had wanted it in 10,000s, you would take off how many zeros? 10,000. How many zeros are in 10,000? There's 4. That would be from the actual number. Questions there? Those should be pretty easy questions, either adding zeros or taking zeros away. Okay. All right, number 2. So we're still looking at the XYZ Corporation, same table, but some different questions. At what price did XYZ Corporation close on May 4th? Now be careful. My information comes from May 5th. So I need to figure out what did it close on May 4th? Say that again? Oh, Nathan, can you Joanne's being creepy. Where's your hat? Did you puke? Go to the nurse. Get out. I love you, but go away. I don't think you guys want him near you, do you? They're like, no. All right. Well, I'm not stopping him either. He can watch the video later. Love you, Joanne, if you're watching this. Okay. So what price did it close? So this was May 4th. So I know May 5th. So I need to go back a day. So you're going to actually take the close price. And then you're going to, hold on, you're either going to add or subtract the change to get out, figure out what the actual price is there. Okay, because the open price is the first sale of the day, which could have changed from the day before, could not have changed. Like, we don't know exactly what happened there. So what happens, the change price, if you go back to your vocab on change, where was change, this last one? The change between the previous day's closing price and the current day's closing price. So if I want to know what it closed for the day before, I'm going to have to take the change and either add or subtract it to go back to the day before. Okay? Because it's the difference between the two closing prices. I don't have two answers, and the reason I said plus or minus, take a look here. We have last and close mean the same thing. So my closing price was $52.20 for this day. Now, I need to determine whether I should add or subtract. The change is positive. It means from yesterday to today, it went up $2.61. So I need to subtract to take it back. You'll always do the opposite of whatever that number is. Okay, I want to make sure we're clear on what just happened. The change number is from yesterday's close to today's close. So closing to closing. So I know what today's closing was. I'm going to take that number, and then whatever my change was, I'm going to do the opposite. Because this is telling me from the 4th to the 5th, it went up $2.61. So if I want to go take it back, I need to go do the opposite. I subtract that off of there. So 52.20 minus 261 is 49. Ooh, my paper moved. 59. So the day before, it closed at 49.59. Today, it closed at 52.20. So that's good. The stock market means, right? It's closing at a higher price the next day, so it's a good value for the stock. Yeah. Yes. Right, that's what we think of when we think of stock market, isn't it? Those little charts with little arrows up and down and whatnot, red and green. At what price did XYZ Corporation close on May 11th? Well, I have May 12th. So again, it's your closing price, either plus or minus the change. So what was the closing on May 12th? Remember, closing and last mean the same thing. So 49.98. And then the change says minus 155. So what do I have to do with it? I have to add $1.55. So 51.53. And think about what you actually did. Make sure it makes sense. This is yesterday, right? The day before was 51.53. They told me it changed by $1.55 minus. So it means it went from here, it dropped, and it dropped to 49.98. That makes sense. Okay, think back through that logically. From one day to the next, the change was either positive or negative. Doesn't make sense for there. Questions? Does that make sense? Are we okay? It's a simple add or subtract, but I mean, you got to know what the numbers are. Okay. So, same corporations, X, Y, and Z. Use the May 4th closing price from example 3 What was May 4th closing price? $49.59. Yeah, it should say. I've altered my notes from year to year. I must have not changed that. Thank you. And the May 5th opening price. What's the May 5th opening price? And again, here's May 5th opening price. So that's 50.10. Just want to get all my numbers straight as I read through here. To find the difference in prices as a percent increase. Does it make sense that it should be an increase? Right? From the 4th to the 5th, it went up. Not a lot, but it went up. Now again, this was the closing price on the day before. Why is the opening price different? What's opening price refer to? I don't think I actually have that in your notes. It's the first sale of the day. Okay, so $49.59 was the last sale of yesterday. $50.10 is the first sale of today. So there's a difference between them, right? They're not always going to sell for the same thing. That could have happened overnight. There could have been a scandal overnight, or it could have been, you never know what's going on. All right, so I want to know what's the difference in price as a percent increase. That means by what percentage did the price go up? Obviously, is it very much? It's not huge. But how do we figure that out? And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this formula before, but you need to cement it in your head. Is new minus old divided by old, and then multiply by 100 to make it a percent. And there we go. That's going to give you your percent increase or decrease. It's the easiest way to do that. So you may want to circle that, star that, highlight it, something in your notes so you don't forget it. Kevin? You wouldn't have to put parentheses as long as you just hit equals. So do the new minus the old equals, divided by the old equals, times 100 equals. So if you just equal at every step of it, you'll be fine. Okay, so new minus old. Well, what's new? Yeah, because that's the newer price, right? On May 5th, that's the newer one. So 50.10 minus the older price, which is $49.59, divided by the old, which is still $49.59. Multiply that by 100 to make it a percentage. And what do we get? To the nearest hundredth, it says. Good. It is 1.03%. I mean, you guys told me it wasn't a big jump, right? I mean, it wasn't a huge difference, so it's not going to be a huge percent. But anytime a problem asks you for percent increase or percent decrease, you're doing the new minus old divided by old. Okay? That's what you're doing. So, same table. Use the May 11th closing price from example. That one wasn't 4, was it? Was that 2, 3? Was that on 2? That also was on 2. To find the difference in price as a percent increase. Okay, what was the May 11th closing price? This is where you guys talk to me. Thank you. So 51.53. The May 12th opening price, what did it open on May 12th? That's in my table. Open, $49.90. All right, so that's, anytime it's asking you for that percent increase or percent decrease, again, that's the new minus old, divided by old, times 100. That's the formula you're going to. So what's the new price? What's the newer date? The $49.90, because that's the newer date, minus old. What's the older date's price? Divided by old, 51.53, multiply by 100. Now, was this an increase or a decrease? From 51 to 49. Did I go up or down? I went down. This is going to be a decrease. What percent did it drop? What did we get? Yeah. So it's negative 3.16%. Or you could tell me 3.16% decrease, or you could just throw the negative in front of it, either way. So that price dropped by over 3%. How are we feeling so far? All right. Not so bad today, right? Are you guys alive? Are we awake? You guys are really out of it today. All right. On May 6th, the XYZ Corporation announced a decrease in earnings. This news caused the price of their stock to drop. People panic, right? They're like, oh my gosh, they're not selling as much. I need to get out now before it drops even more. So people like panic and freak out and they sell. What happens when people start selling? What happens to the price? The price drops. Everybody starts selling, the price drops and bottoms out. So it closed at 44.37. Express the net change from May 5th to May 6th as a percent. Is that really asking the same thing about percent increase or percent decrease? Is that the same thing, the net change as a percent? Same idea. All right, so again, this is your new minus old divided by old times 100. Gives me that percentage there. All right, so which one is the new? Express the net change from May 5th to May 6th. So May 6th is the new, and they told you it closed at 44.37. Minus the old. Old is talking about May 5th. Well, May 5th, where did it close? 52.20. Divided by 52.20 times 100. Whew. So it went from 52.20 and then it changed to 44.37. What percent did that decrease? 15, negative 15%. Or a 15% decrease. That one's a little more steep, right? They lost 15% in the value of their company. Okay, number 6. So same idea. May 13th, the XYZ Corporation announced another decrease in earnings. Oh my gosh, this company is falling apart. The price of their stock dropped to a close at 45.72. Express the net change from May 12th to May 13th as a percent to the nearest 10. So there's my two dates I'm looking for. So new minus old divided by old. So the new is May 13th. What was May 13th's price? 45.72. They gave that one to you. Minus the old price on May 12th. It closed at 49.98. Divided by 49.98 times 100. What percent this time did they drop? Negative 8.5. So not as far as I did before. You guys are riveting today. Maximus. Good morning, sunshine. He can't be grumpy at me when I smile at him, right? Did you sleep last night? I'm sorry. You know, if I stop yelling at you, probably wouldn't be as bad. Sorry, I'm going to treat you like I treat my children. Wake up. Okay, so one last video for today, and then I'll give you the rest of time to work on your homework. Sound good?